Hello again, everybody. This is Ed with another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. Well, this week what I'm looking at is the 1991 Paul McCartney film, Get Back. So it's the 1991 tour video that you will have seen in the photos to begin, prior to this video, obviously. Now, I was trying to locate my VHS copy. I did have it a long time ago. I couldn't locate it within the archives. So I remember actually getting this probably about 1991 on VHS, back when it came out. The film itself is directed by Richard Lester, who also directed Hard Day's Night and Help, among a couple of other things, obviously out there. And it's chronicling Paul McCartney's 1989-1990 world tour. Only partially, though. I want to kind of get into some of the songs. There's probably about really 20 songs on the DVD itself, 21 songs if you include the song at the end of the credits. It is available on streaming, and kind of to address the elephant in the room, as it were, I remember that there was an announcement a few weeks back, prior to the taping of this, that it was coming to Blu-ray. Well, apparently that Blu-ray was only released in England, not in the United States, here. I'm kind of a little bit puzzled as to why. I certainly wouldn't mind having a little bit more cleaned up version of Get Back available for the US audiences. Even though I haven't seen the film itself in a little while, it's just always nice for us to have that. And I can't imagine why, Paul wouldn't just want to reissue it here as well, get some more people to buy, especially since it's got the Get Back name attached to it. Again, that's just kind of a little bit of a puzzler on my part, in my view. But okay, so we're getting on to the film itself, which, again, right here, of course. Have the back. Have the front right here. And we'll show the back one more time, just to give people a little bit of a view there. So not too much to speak of as far as bonus features. It's full screen, which immediately... I really wish it were in widescreen. I wish it weren't shot on 16mm. I really wish this could have been shot on 35mm to bring out the tour in all of its glory. Certainly more songs would have added to it. This film is about an hour and a half. Realistically, you probably could have done a solid 2-hour concert film, really gotten a few more songs in here that Paul actually played, which is not reflected in the set list here. But again, it was, issued in 1991, so by the time it came out, the tour had already concluded. Naturally, okay, you're filming during the tour, you want to wait till sometime soon after the tour to issue the product. Flowers in the Dirt was probably almost 2 years old by this point, by the time this comes out. Again, the advantage, only here in the US, again, we have the DVD release, we have the streaming. Currently, you can either rent it or, I believe, buy it on Amazon Prime. I bought mine so I can watch it streaming as well. Now, as far as the songs themselves, so it starts off with Band on the Run, kind of a fancy little title with Get Back, with the backwards K in the title, having rewatched it. But the first song that Paul actually did on the tour was Figure of Eight. He kind of thought, okay, let me just start with my newest material. I don't want to go out with just kind of a greatest hits or oldies tour. And I really wish he would do more of that. To be quite honest, start off with your new stuff. Get your new stuff, get the solo stuff out there first. Yeah, we can wallow in the nostalgia later for the Beatles stuff. Everybody's going to come for that. Of course, I get it. But, I really think there's some missed opportunities with him not really starting with the newest songs off the bat, instead going with the old standbys. That's my own personal view. Your mileage might vary, of course. So we get to, a Band on the Run. Sorry, I'm thinking of the title. But Band on the Run, serviceable. He does well on the track. The one thing I noticed with a lot of the vocals, they sound a lot deeper. I don't know, and I think a lot of other folks have talked about this on other channels, but I'd have to agree that the vocals seem off. It seems to be a bit slower. I remember when I saw him in person for the first time, July 4th, 1990, he did sound different. It didn't quite sound like on record, but okay, I'm a teenager back then. I didn't, quite have the process down, the thinking capabilities that I have now. But, even still, it's like, okay, it sounds a little bit different, but he did, sound a little bit different, and this seems to reflect it. He hadn't been on tour for a little while. The last tour was the 1979 UK tour. The last really major live performance was 1985 at Live Aid, also in England. So this was the first US tour in 13 years, which was a big enough deal in and of itself. But, a couple other songs. I'm not going to go through every single song here, but just, Got to Get You Into My Life. Okay, it sounds good, sounds fine, but, you've got the keyboards in place of real horns. I kind of wish that, that could have been added with some real horns on this tour. Would have been amazing, in my view. You get Rough Ride as the third track on this particular concert film. Again, second track off the Flowers in the Dirt album. Good enough track, but I think in this case, My Brave Face definitely should have made the cut on this particular release. I can't see why they couldn't have put My Brave Face somewhere on here, along with Figure of Eight. Those two songs, you could have easily added them in here as part of the live package and to show a bit more of what was played on the tour. There was certainly more than 20 songs on the tour. You get The Long and Winding Road that has a lot of flashback imagery of, the moon landing, the Beatles getting their MBE in 1965, etc., etc. You get The Fool on the Hill, which is some of the clips from the Magical Mystery Tour, juxtaposed with Paul singing. Again, he was a much stronger voice at that point than now, for obvious reasons, but again, the film just doesn't quite reflect it. It just doesn't quite sound as it should. And there's probably a lot of audience, read that as bootleg recordings out there of the 1989-1990 tour that reflected a lot better. Heck, even the Tripping the Live Fantastic and Tripping the Live Fantastic Highlights CDs issued in 1990 reflect the tour a lot more with the set list. I think he sounds a lot stronger on that particular release. I would recommend getting that first before purchasing this or downloading this, however you consume your media. We get Sgt. Pepper's, of course, as the next track. Okay, Sgt. Pepper's Only Hearts Club Band. We get that. We get Good Day Sunshine. Now, interesting effect on this video. They're kind of showing a lot of audience members they're getting ready. They're starting their day. You see Paul performing as well. It's kind of a split screen. Richard Lester was probably kind of going for almost a Woodstock film vibe. You've got a split screen. You've got one screen on top, the next screen, and then cut along half at the bottom, you've got Paul performing the song. And okay, a lot of audience footage in this film. I expect some crowd footage, of course, but in reality, I really want concert films to focus on the performer. Really give us a good idea of the tour itself. So I think maybe a few too many audience shots, in my view. They're kind of good to look from a perspective of, many years later. But, in reality, do we need so many audience shots? Yes, we know Paul is great. That's fantastic. He's, they're cutting all sorts of footage from around the world. Not one single show, but, one location in London, one location in the US, one location in Germany, Japan. Okay, it was a world tour, I get it, but, again, that's just my feeling. I think, straight ahead on Good Day Sunshine, just the performance itself probably would have served it a lot better in my view. I saw her standing there, early Beatles Chestnut, okay, great. Put it there, that's kind of a nice acoustic performance. Certainly a good band that Paul has backing him up. I don't think the best band he's ever been with myself. I think, certainly some talented members, but I think even the current band, it just tends to maybe rock a little bit more. I think I've said this elsewhere, somewhere else on a comment or a video. This band, it feels a little bit more yacht rock. No insult meant to Robbie McIntosh or to Hamish Stewart. Very amazing musicians, extremely talented group of musicians, but just kind of the overall feeling I've always gotten watching any of the footage from this time period, from the 1989 to about 93 time period. Let's see here. We get Eleanor Rigby. Again, they're using kind of the look at all the lonely people, kind of flashing up black and white footage, older people onto the screens above. And I remember that during the tour as well. There was definitely a lot of, backdrops used, a lot of the video screens, some laser effects, of course, by this point in 1989 or 1990, kind of being perfected from, back in the 70s. So that's, that's to be expected, of course. Back in the USSR, okay, we get some Russian footage. Don't know if that's aged as well, but, take that as it is. This one is a pleasant performance. Again, new material off the album. I always like to see the new material. This one is a perfectly pleasant song, really a good song, actually, in my view. So, again, this one could have been issued as a single. I have to agree with a couple other folks out there. I forget who said it at the moment, but this one definitely could have been issued as a first or second single and deserved a much better commercial fate than it ended up getting. There never could be a better moment than this one. I kind of remember that being a highlight of the concert itself as well when I saw him in person, way up in the nosebleed section. You get Can't Buy Me Love, Beatles classic. Okay, you've looped the crowd in. Coming Up. Now, it doesn't say coming up, but it says come in with an apostrophe at the end. But the song is actually coming up. Chris Whitten on drums gets a really, funky beat going to it. Okay. Although, again, probably a couple other songs in here I would have put. Definitely on the tour, Take It Away, Normal Lonely Nights, and Spies Like Us are 3 songs that definitely could have been added. Coming Up, it's nice. It's pretty cool to hear, You get Let It Be. I mean, Let It Be is a classic, of course. Okay, that's going to span all the tours at this point. I see no problem with including it, including it here. Live and Let Die, we don't quite get the pyrotechnics as much as we've gotten in later concerts, but still a very good performance, very, competent performance of the song. Hey Jude, the next track, well, the whole, now this section sings, now over here, now in the front, now this, now that, Hey Jude, we've kind of gotten that, and this is kind of the very beginning of that whole trend that we've seen throughout every single show. Personally, I know Hey Jude's a classic song, and I'm about to say what I'm about to say, but really, I think that song could be dropped from a future tour if he decides to do one, and you could pick at least 2 or 3 other solo songs to sneak in there. We've got enough footage of Hey Jude at this point. Just my view. Hey, it's my channel, my very subjective view. I might get some not great comments, but it is what it is. We get Yesterday. Yesterday's definitely a keeper. That spans across the tours as well. Paul on acoustic guitar does a great job, in this particular case. Get Back, of course, the song to the, not only the documentary that we just got, not only to, the Get Back single from 1969, very famous song. Really hard to go wrong with it. Get Back has always been done, very well in my view. And finally, you just get a selection called Down Abbey Road. It's really the Abbey Road medley, You Never Give Me Your Money, the whole medley, Carry That Weight, Golden Slumbers, the end. You know it, you love it, for obvious reasons, and again, that's one I don't mind keeping in across the different tours. And then we just get the final credits where the song Birthday is playing over the ending credits. So again, that's kind of what we're getting, with the video. If I was to give it an overall rating, now, I wanted to give it a B. I really did. I have a really good personal connection to this tour. I love Flowers in the Dirt. I can't do it. I'd probably give it a C or C+, so I'd probably say Pick Up Next. I think, at the very least, even more recent tours, Good Evening New York City would probably be one of my top ones. Rock Show would be another one, as far as, releases we've had so far. Heck, I would even put Space Between Us from 2005, which is the second and so far most recent tour that I've got to see Paul on. I'd put those all above Get Back. I mean, again, Get Back is nice enough. Pick it up if you can. Definitely add it to the collection, but I'd go through those first. I think it gives a much better energy to the performance. And I hate to say that. Again, it's directed by Richard Lester. Yes, Help, Hard Day's Night. Genius filmmaking. Relying on the past, relying on connecting to that Beatles past, even back at that point, as Paul was getting back on the road. Okay, I can see it, but, again, those other films I would definitely recommend above this one. This one, so it's a Pick Up Next, middle of the road, some nice performances on it, but again, I really wish we had gotten the Blu-ray. I really hope that someday we could get something sound corrected, everything restored, at least to modern specifications. I'd like to at least be able to compare that if that ever should happen within the archives. Or better yet, if Paul sees fit, release some of the single shows from the archives. Put it online, put it out on physical media, definitely. I'm sure there's definitely some shows that people remember, from the tour that you could put out there, much like what the Rolling Stones have done with some of their archives. They've put out kind of individual parts of the tour, 2 or 3 physical releases from various tours. I can think of their 1989-1990 tour that was going on at about the same time, or other tours that they've done, throughout the years. So that would be at least my recommendation. So I'll pick up next. I just want to say I appreciate everybody's, continuing to follow me as I'm going through all the different memorabilia. And of course, if everybody's enjoying the content, just please make sure to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I appreciate everybody listening in, tuning in. And just, put some comments below. I know I got to see this particular tour. What are some of your memories of the tour? And also, do you think the film compares well to the tour? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think, it doesn't compare to the tour? Is it somewhere in between for you? But also definitely just memories of that particular tour. I know that was a very big watershed event for a lot of solo Paul fans and, of course, Beatles fans by extension. So that's just it. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'll catch everybody next week for the next review. Till then, take care. Bye.